It's time to
right.
play the game.
Well, that got recorded, but you know what? Fuck it. It's time for another Buster Wolf. Today we're talking about SNK's impact on fighting game history and what we think of the company so far, their characters, their mechanics, and everything involved with that. I think it's going to be a very fun discussion. I am Renegade Operative, and I would like to introduce my panel. First, we have Andre.
Howdy, Andre B. Venom here. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about SNK fighting games. It's a very exciting time with inevitable release to Fatal Fury, Save the Wolves, along with other products they got in the pipeline. So, yep, we are here.
Next, we have Rat.
SNK, the company that once upon a time asked you, what is a wren? A wren is a bird.
Oh god, I thought you were calling my name for a second, but apparently it's a bird, so I guess I'm in the right here. I guess I'm fine.
Yep. I'll elaborate later.
Next up
You're
is...
a bird.
God damn it. Next up is Burn, actually, as we get some naming conventions here. So Burn, introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Bern. I am the token Mexican person in this podcast right now, but there's a reason for me being here. You cannot imagine the impact that SNK has had in Mexican society. So I have a purpose in here, so bear with me.
Oh, they're still playing in like countries like Brazil and everything to this day, so they definitely still are going with that. Next up is Kaneki.
And they need a better internet if we want to fight online. I mean, hello. we're going to be talking about SNK, and oh man, I can't wait to bring up this certain old fighting game no one ever heard of called Kizuna Encounter Super Tag Battle.
All right, let's get right into it then. So we're going to start with the first question. Let's start first and foremost. What is your introduction into SNK for the first time in history? How did their games impact you compared to other fighting games? Also, as a bonus, have you ever played on like a Neo Geo handheld or console? Rat, I'd like to start with you first.
Good, because my history with SNK did not start with a fighting game. It actually started with an NES game called Baseball Stars. It was this typical sporty little baseball game, and I remember the crazy passwords you could put in to get a super-powered team. You had to put in, like, when isn't it? And you delete it, and then you write when it is. But that was my first exposure to SNK as a company. I sort of would know who they were. They were the Samurai Shodown guys. But I had never really dived into SNK proper until Fatal Fury, the motion picture. That was my first real exposure to everything SNK was. Because I was a big anime guy, and I was also a Street Fighter guy. And once upon a time, I was at a game store, and there was this PS1 disc for like $10, $15, The King of Fighters 99. And that was the first actual King of Fighters game I actually played. But I had not known SNK was with me longer than I had thought they were. Like, they do more than just fighting games, despite the fact that that's what we're going to be talking about for the most part.
Kaneki, how about you? What is your history with SNK?
Well, my introduction to SNK was through a fighting game. However, I don't know if you guys ever witnessed this game particular. One day, you're in school and you're on the computer. Well, let's say you have a free time, and there's this interesting game you search on Google called The King of Fighters Wings. I'm like, what? What is the King of Fighters Wings? Which basically my introduction to SNK for the first time. It's basically what I thought was another Street Fighter game that you could play on your PC. Those examples of Ryu versus Sagat. No, it was actually a fun game to mess around with. And it was also my first introduction to SNK characters such as Kyo, Iori, and Terry. I'm like, who are these guys? And why are they fighting Ryu and Chun-Li? And the gameplay basically plays definitely like a KOF. is I was trying to play Ryu and Chun Li like it was Street Fighter, which has a bit of a curve to it. And then my first introduction to actual SNK fighter that is not from like a PC per se would be what is the game called? I think King of Fighters 13. You ever play that game, Ren? KOF 13? It was such a great PS3 game
I
that
did.
the PC version is better because it had all the characters.
It was a big improvement over 12. 12 was the first one I played on PS3 and I fucking hated it. So it's like
I never played 12, so I assume I dodged a bullet.
it was basically an overglorified beta.
Damn. Not the first time I hear something like that. Also, I never played on a Neo Geo console or even an arcade cabinet or even a portable device. I didn't even know they had a portable device. What is it called?
They have like a whole lot of them. I can't recall them all by name. Rad, do you know
The
like some of
big
these?
one, the big one is Neo Geo Pocket.
Yeah.
It's actually funny that you mentioned that because when we got to me, I actually have a Neo Geo bucket. Let me just send the
Yeah,
picture right now because I have one.
I know a friend who has one, and I'm incredibly jealous of him.
Is it the one where it's like a Game Boy but for Neo Geo?
Yeah,
Basically.
Okay.
it's like SNK's Game Gear.
Ah, okay.
I sent
Because
the
they put
picture
out
on
a
the podcast
pocket,
call.
they put out a pocket version which was no less than 10 games and didn't last 6 months, and then it upgraded to Pocket Color, which is what they should have done in the first place. But
This looks like a big Game Boy Advance to me, and I don't know why. It puts a smile on my face.
It's
Fun
actually
fact.
smaller than a Game Boy Advance. I have them side by side, and it's actually smaller.
Oh, really?
If
Fun
you want to use
fact.
that picture, yeah,
It also predates the Game Boy Advance.
yes,
Oh, really?
by a
That's
lot. This thing,
Yeah.
as Red says, there was two versions: the original Neo Geo Pocket, and the Neo Geo Pocket Color. This one is the black and white one, and you cannot see anything in it. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Oof, that sounds pretty bad in my opinion. But they improved it, so I guess that's what counts. Kaneki, do you have anything else to say before we move on?
Yes, and it packed me on, especially with certain characters like Terry, Iori, and Mai. And I was like, where were these when I was growing up? Where were these characters? They could have definitely fit in Street Fighter. Oh, we're already in that future.
mhm.
Andre, it is your turn. How were you introduced into SNK for the first time in history?
That's a good question. So actually, you know what? Do you know what Kaneki said about Street Fighter? So my introduction to SNK was actually Capcom versus SNK 2 way back then. Like that's how I was like aware of their characters and like what they've essentially done. I was like, and at the time, I thought it was like the same universe, but I was like a kid at the time. But over the years, I was like, no, these SNK characters are very different. And I started to get really interested. I did kind of mess around like a lot of the Flash games as a kid, KOF Flash games, but I didn't really start getting into SNK games until like maybe KOF 13 on the PS3. So I kind of got a little bit later than most people, but I really enjoyed KOF 13. Really fun ass game. And really the rest is history. Definitely, definitely I'd say when it comes to style, I think SNK probably has the most style of like any other fighting game. I'd say maybe second to is like Tekken, but yeah, that's my answer.
All right, I guess I'll go next. My introduction into SNK was actually it was a passing game that I managed to play. My cousin had this game. I know for sure it was not mine. It was definitely Sam's Show on the Super Nintendo, and I was just like, I remember playing it, and I hit someone like one time, and their health bar just like disintegrated, which was like one of the main things about the game itself is that you can like literally fuck someone up with a heavy hit, and their health bar would go like down to the red. So I really enjoyed it, but I remember I didn't play too much of this game. I was more into the Street Fighter craze at the time, because my cousin had that as well. He was playing Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat like no tomorrow. Um, so that's how I sort of got into it, but I didn't really get into KOF like a little bit more into the future. And I think it was like a demo that was presented to me for the first time. Another cousin had it, and I played KOF 95. And I remember like all the other characters were locked. I was like, this is bullshit. I want to play as everyone else, but I picked who was selected at the time in the demo. And that's when I got really solidified into what SNK was, because that game was very addicting. It's very fun, fighting mechanics, very intricate systems in play, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But I remember really, really loving KOF 95, and then just picking them up gradually over the years, seeing how they flourish with other KOF games. I played Dream Match on the Dreamcast, and I remember having a lot of fun with that, along with Third Strike on the Dreamcast. And then playing later KOF games, I think I also got into 12, which I didn't like too much, but 13 kind of saved it for me. And then ever since then, I've been like sort of off again, on again, playing their games and really enjoying them for what they were, which is, you know, a lot of very flashy moves, cool aesthetics, great characters that we're going to talk about later as well. Just the way they do everything is dripping with style, and I'm very glad I got into it. You know, Metal Slug and everything. I played that with a friend, a little bit of coin op, and it was also a pretty good time. So I have some experience with them, one way or the other. Next is Burn. How did you get into SNK for the first time?
So for me, I guess the first introduction to like SNK was generally with like arcade machines. But here's like the fun thing: Mexico is a place that is actually filled with piracy. Like there's piracy on every corner, or well, at least there used to be a lot of piracy back in the day. And back then, you could literally go to like any corner shop, like the old shop of like old man Jose or shit like or stuff like that, and he will have like several arcade machines with different games and stuff like that. Most of them were fully emulated. I'm pretty sure that most of them had like an original like Xbox console in there, just like with a lot of games installed in there. And I remember playing a lot of like Metal Slug and stuff like that because those are also SNK in some way. But I was never a lot into King of Fighters when I was younger because, same as Ren, I was more into Street Fighter, more Marvel vs. Capcom, stuff like that. But the moment I started playing King of Fighters, even though it was a little bit more complicated for me, just like seeing everyone else playing and the things that they could do and all of that, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. The kind of combos and all that, just seeing the fast movement, the flashy movements, the pixel art is just like amazing, it's top notch. So definitely, I'm pretty sure that it has been that. I never really played on an original Neo Geo console, except the one that I sent, the Neo Geo Pocket. But I don't have any King of Fighters for that one. But it's like it's honestly amazing the kind of things that you can do on King of Fighters games, and the fact that they have been so constant as a way of saying like just like release after release after release after release, and only few times I've seen that they have dipped in quality generally because games like KOF 13, 98, 95, 2000, 2002 even, like those are really good games. I think like the worst ones that we have are usually like 15 and 12. So it's just amazing that SNK has been able to keep that kind of quote unquote consistency.
All right, we're gonna move to question number two.
Wait,
That hmm?
wait. I have to correct myself on something.
Go ahead.
You know when I said King of Fighters Wings was my first introduction to SNK? That was a lie, a huge lie, because I remember my childhood was before that game. There was a barber shop I still go to this day, and a long time ago, they did had an arcade cabinet, but it wasn't a Neo Geo one, but it was a different arcade cabinet. And the game they have right there, I didn't even know it was a SNK game. The the game was Metal Slug 3. I was blown away with that fucking arcade experience. The way you kill zombies and the different types of enemies.
Yeah, I played. I'm gonna save that for like a later question, but I did play a little bit of Metal Slug, and it's pretty fun. But I'm gonna talk about it a little bit later. Question number two is: how do you feel about the general gameplay systems of the SNK games that you play so far, particularly the fighting games? And I want to start with Rad first.
It's weird as a Capcom fan going to SNK games and missing out on your medium attack button, which is the majority of SNK's games, except for like Samurai Showdown. But uh, gameplay systems. My question for this and answer is mostly around the King of Fighters because their gameplay systems evolved considerably over time. You couldn't even like run initially. Like you had like a dash beforehand, and the advanced meter you know now did not exist. You had to charge your meter at first. But it's kind of a rude awakening for people who may be familiar with Street Fighter and aren't expecting such complexity. I really like the general movement of SNK games and especially KOF, even though I will never ever grasp short hop to save my life. But these are some cool systems and just general movement you don't really see in other fighting games. The only unique jump you might know from other fighters is like super jumps where you jump higher than normal, but just hopping. The idea of hopping changes movement as a whole. Uh, it's just with the SNK, the best thing about them is how influential and game changing their additions to the fighting game genre are.
I guess it's my turn. So Rat had a good point when he compared a lot of things to going from Street Fighter to KOF. I it's a whole different monster. Let me just tell you this off the bat. It was kind of just like, okay, I'm used to the Hadokens and everything and the simple motions and whatnot. KOF is like, okay, now we have the dashing in here. Now we have the dodging move that you could do when you go from side to side and you dodge an attack. Uh, Charging your move was a thing that was paramount in the older KOF games, as well as the hopping and how people would do these moves where they would short hop and then stuff someone real quick, then do it again. And I was just like, how do you do this? Like, the whole time I was playing the demo of 95, I was just confused as to what was going on. But I started to learn over time the more I got like the final game, because I remember my brother did get that version, and I got to the boss, and he's pissing me off, but that's another question entirely. But just the more I kept losing, the more I kept practicing, saying, oh, this is how you do this, you do these projectiles here. There's a lot of intricate notions of commands and prompts here that you have to really get used to. So it is a game that does feel kind of unforgiving and hard to get into at first, but when you get into it and you learn what's going on, how the people move, and what the characters do specifically, is very enjoyable. This is one of the more intricate but enjoyable like 2D fighters I think I ever played, like, ever. And that's saying like a lot, because I played many of them. So you definitely have to take that knowledge and application, and over time, these games did get easier with the meteors and the move sets and everything in the game. So I did enjoy it for what it was, and they're still like relatively fun these days. It's just, if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna get pretty much stuffed and destroyed. But that is the nature of learning the game. So I know overall I enjoy what they do, and I can't wait to see what they do with City of Wolves. Burn, what about you? What do you think of the gameplay of, SNK games, KOF games, etc.?
I've always found them interesting and fun. The first time that I played like King of Fighters, I was kind of weirded out because of the team choosing and all of that. Because as I said, I was more used to like Marvel versus Capcom, so I was thinking like, oh, am I gonna be able to do like assists and stuff like that? And I was like panicking on the arcade machine, just like, why is it not working? Why is it not working? And then my friends explained to me like, no, no, it's not like that. These are one-on-one fights, and it's just like what do you call it? Basically, just like a clap on, just like, oh, one dice comes the next. And that was interesting in a way because it's like basically you're playing three matches, four, maybe five even, in just one game, let's say like that. And I was like, that's interesting. And even when I started discovering like more SNK games like Art Fighting, Fatal Fury, Samurai Showdown, when I learned that in Samurai Showdown you can do like those one hit kills as Ren was mentioning at the beginning, I was like, what? And that was the moment I realized that SNK really had, I don't know, they had something. I don't know what to call it, but they had like some interesting ideas that they always try to go for. Not only for just like the fun of it, but just because of the sake of it. Just like, hey, you can kill with one touch. Yeah, why not? And that's just amazing for me.
Kaneki, it is your turn. What do you think of the gameplay systems in SNK games?
Uh, I like how they experiment with each fighting game they do that is not King of Fighters related. For example, Art of Fighting. Not only you have to charge your meter if you want to use your meters to even attack. Not just using your super, but sometimes attack. Normally. Which I'm like, okay. You're really experimenting with that type of nonsense. They also have some fighting games where they experience on the tag team mechanics. And with some games, the way they tag team, you have to stand on a specific area before you could tag your opponent out, and switch characters during the match. They're very experimental when it comes to gameplay mechanics, and I'll probably be surprised if they still continue with this. But man, if you're not playing a fighting game outside of KOF or even Fatal Fury, then oh boy, you're gonna be fucked with the different mechanics they put.
Andre, it is your turn. What do you think of the gameplay of like SNK games?
Let's see. As for the gameplay for SNK games, they're very unique and interesting little systems. Like, I think, for example, like Sam Show, um, Samuel is kind of like really less on like doing long combos and more like heavy hits, and it's kind of like a traditional samurai duel. And I do think it's kind of neat where like if you finish the if you like pretty much finish the match with like a heavy attack, you basically like kill the opponent. Like, because Sam Show is probably the most violent of the SNK fighters easily. And one thing too I do really like about KOF is I do really like the team system. Like it, I always thought the team system of the King of Fighters games was kind of neat because like you have like you have the first see I think you have the main one, the point, and then the anchor. I could be getting this wrong, but I do think it was kind of neat. I can fight in threes because it definitely kind of gives I guess gives it more like a tag team feel. But overall, I do really like the gameplay systems of the other games. It's definitely like I said, all of them are very different from each other. But yeah, that's about it.
I swear, like, I don't know if it's just me, but since I started out with KOF 95, wasn't there a mechanic where if you got the last hit on someone, their clothes would like fall off or something? I swear to God that happened in like KOF 95.
So that is a reference to the first Art of Fighting, where if you kill off King with a fireball move, the top of her clothes just explodes. And the twist around King is that that's not a man, that's a woman. And that little Easter egg carried over to every KOF game practically. Yuri has the same thing because it happens to her in Art of Fighting too.
Yeah, I figured I might as well bring that up because I just remember getting like I think the computer did it to me as well where they hit me because King is like one of my favorite characters to use and her clothes just like exploded like it was Ichigo doing a Bankai. So I found that to be actually pretty funny. But we're gonna move on to the next question. That is question number 3. So, what do you think of SNK's other fighting game ventures outside of KOF? So that's Art of Fighting, Fatal Fury, Breakers, Garou, The Last Blade, Samurai Showdown, and anything else that we haven't mentioned so far. And Rad, I'm gonna start with you first again.
Samurai Showdown, period. It is such a different fighting game from everybody else. Where if you're getting tired of complex combos and understanding unique frame cancels and all your fancy Romans and all of that, this is just swinging with the sword, accepting the consequences when you whiff, a bunch of cool characters and a unique aesthetic, and it's practically my second favorite SNK franchise. I absolutely adore the revival for reasons I will get to in a later question, but Samurai Showdown is just such a simple fighting game to understand. You don't necessarily need to be a genius of execution and long combos. You just swing your sword, hit the guy, big damage happens. It's such a viscerally satisfying game series, and I'm glad SNK got the chance to revive it with an exquisite reboot.
Kaneki, what about you? Any other SNK fighting games you've played that you want to mention here?
Hmm. The only fighting ventures outside of KOF I would give a huge shout out to, other than Samurai Shodown, would be Breakers, a series that, in a way, I think it should be rebooted and be reintroduced because, man, it's a whole different play when it comes to Breakers. You got the main character show. It's basically how many Street Fighter clones we got at this point? It's basically Street Fighter, except with SNK's take on it, and they have all sorts of different characters from ninja to a basic karate fighter who can shoot multiple fucking keys. And if I'm not mistaken, they have a lot of Chinese fighters in that game. Um, I think the only other fighting game outside of KOF I would give a shout out as well is Garou. You know, a what if scenario of after, well, actually taking place in the Fatal Fury timeline after death. We see Rock Howard raising up by Terry and seeing his journey of how basically becomes Terry 2.0, and can't wait for the new game to come out where he has all his moves. He has everyone's moves from Terry's to Geese, and he finally has the Power Wave. So I can't wait for him to turn heel.
I'll go next. The only ones I played on this list were I've played Art of Fighting, the first one, but it's been such a long ass time. I remember the sprites are definitely not the same anymore. They definitely upgraded those. Uh, but I barely remember the game so far. I just remember I played a couple of matches and I got my ass kicked. As for everything else, it mostly wavers between Garou and Samurai Showdown. As I said earlier, I played that, and when I hit someone with like a fatal attack or whatever they call it, and I saw like that person got killed and it was blood and shit, I was like, wait a minute, whoa, what's going on here? It was like some new revolution to me when I saw that for the first time in history. As for Garou, I've played a little bit of it and I do like it, but I haven't played enough of it to really say, oh, this is my full opinion or whatever. I just remember that yes, it's a little bit easier to jump into and play. And there's these like all different characters. It's like there's so many like newer characters. It reminds me kind of like how they tried to do Street Fighter 3, where it's like they tried to introduce like a couple of old characters in there. Maybe you'll see a familiar face here or there, but it's mostly new people that you see and play with.
Oh,
Hmm?
friend, we
Yeah.
gotta bring up Carnal's Revenge.
What is that?
Even though you never play Carnal's Revenge.
No. Let me look this
Oh
up.
man, you want a definition of Street Fighter clone? That's the game right there.
And
It's either that or its original Fighter's Destiny.
oh
But
yeah,
the sequel did get onto a Neo Geo platform, so it still counts. It's another Street Fighter clone with some really cool and unique characters. Like Ray McDougal is your cool American fighter, and Mizoguchi is your really cool manly Japanese fighter. It had an embarrassing French character. I think it's like Pierre or something, where he makes just embarrassingly cringe noises.
Pierre Saint
But
Blanc.
just very underrated cast.
Yeah, I remember the original Fighter's Destiny, but not that game, so that's something I have to probably check out.
Balloon.
But yeah,
Yes, I almost confused that. I almost confused Karnoff with Maharl from Breakers. So it's just he's the balloon guy. No, he's not. Okay.
but yeah, the only ones I played on this list was Garou and Samurai Shodown and a little bit of Art of Fighting, but it's so long in the past my brain has melted, so I
There,
probably forgot.
there was another game before we can continue. There was another game I played before. No one probably ever heard of it. I can't think of it right now. World Heroes. You ever play another fighting game where they have like a character that's like played football? Yeah, we don't see that man's face in that one. Instead of Brian Battler, we have some guy that literally has his helmet on, but we don't see his face.
It's like Johnny Maximum or something like Johnny Max.
That sounds like the most 90s name ever. What the fuck?
It, mid
Oh
'90s
no, oh
game.
no, they have a Hulk Hogan type called like Muscle Power.
This game has an anthology on the PS2. What the hell? Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, it does.
really though, Perfect is the one you want to play. The rest are curiosities. And World Heroes 2 does have a deathmatch mode.
Oh, really? Okay. I like how the characters
Yeah,
look too. This is kind of awesome looking. I never really discovered this before, so I'm newly getting into new lore. There's a random pirate too. I see it on the
they have
box
a
art.
they have a death match, which is it deathmatch the one where you gotta have your character depending on the life bar.
It's a tug of war life bar.
Yeah. Like, remember what I said about them having different gameplay mechanics?
Mhm.
SNK likes to do that back then.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I definitely maybe we'll do a little bit of a playthrough of this as we go along. I'm sure it'd be funny as fuck, but I'm gonna pass the baton to Burn. So Burn, is there any other like SNK games you've played outside of KOF?
Not much really. Mostly it was KOF and a little bit of Samurai Shodown. Lately with the upcoming new release of Garou, I'm actually kind of interested in playing that one. And I kind of remember playing some. I don't remember if it was Art of Fighting or Fatal Fury at like a friend's house. But yeah, like mostly I'm really unknown to the specific antics of SNK in this regard, actually.
That's fair enough. I guess it's Andre's turn. So Andre, have you played any other SNK fighting game outside of KOF?
Yes, I have. I've played Garou and Samurai Shodown. Garou was really cool. Like it was basically SNK's take on Tekken 3 at the time. Because remember, Tekken 3 had an entirely new cast with only like a few returning characters. Which funny enough, the only returning character in Garou was really Terry, but that is pretty much gonna change when City of the Wolves comes out since Mai and Billy Kane are returning. But Garou was really cool. It was really like the aesthetics of it. Really, definitely really vibed with Rock Hour as a character. I think Rock Hour is probably a very I think he's definitely like one of SNK's coolest characters. Him and K Dash easily. They're probably like the coolest characters they've made. Definitely a really cool mix of Terry and Geese, and I do think it's really interesting that what Kaneki said. Rock actually might be more villainous in City of the Wolves. Like he might follow the same path as Geese, but yeah. As for Samsha, I played the 2019 one the most. I didn't play the older ones that much, but when I played, it was really freaking cool. Like it kind of reminded me of like Soul Calibur. Maybe that's kind of why I vibed with it so much. Which, funny enough, how Mario joined Soul Calibur 6, so it kind of came full circle. But yeah, that's about it for me.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next one. That is the crossover question. So, how do you feel about the crossover games that SNK has made so far, like Capcom versus SNK, and anything you want to mention in this regard whatsoever? I'll let Kaneki go first.
When is Capcom versus SNK 3?
At this rate, Capcom wants to revive everything, so I think it may happen considering they're in bed together.
That's how I feel when it comes to SNK crossover games. I feel like this is the biggest one they have ever done because if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not going to count the SNK crossovers they do for games, for mobile games, I'm not going to count those. The only other kind of crossover they did that wasn't Capcom related, I mean Capcom versus SNK related, was a dead game. It's dead now, but it was a game. I don't know if anyone ever heard of this. The 2018 game Fighting EX Layer, where was a year and a half later they announced Terry Bogard as a guest character in that game. That was like
Oh,
the only other crossover I could think of with SNK did.
I did see
I
that, yeah.
remember that. Dude, yeah, that was cool. That was very unexpected, but it was really dope.
Like Terry fighting Skullomania was something no one expected to see coming, but man, I wish that game didn't die.
Yeah, it was a very the game deserved more love.
But yes, we need more crossovers like that for SNK. Need more need more I wouldn't say mainstream, but more recognition. So people will recognize the characters. Just like how people will recognize Dragon Ball in soccer games. Need to see that with SNK characters.
I guess I'll go next. So for this one, I've only played Capcom versus SNK. I always wanted to try the first one, but everyone says like the second one is like peak, is great or whatever. I think just their crossovers in general with Capcom is pretty hype from characters crossing over. You got Ken and Chung Li, they're coming to Garou City of Wolves, and then you have Mai that recently had a trailer in Street Fighter 6, which we're going to talk about later, and Terry is also in Street Fighter 6. So he's just very fun to play with and awesome, and I'm glad like they just buffed this man because I really did need to get in there with those buffs and everything. But just that relationship in general, because you recognize this whole cast of interesting, diverse characters, and they're crossing over in these other games together, and there's this working relationship between the two. So I think those are really, really fine. As for the games itself that I played, I remember enjoying Capcom versus SNK 2, and I'm very fucking happy that they're doing that new collection that's coming this year, where they're gonna have those games and you can play them online with people, and Capcom Fighting Collection 2 should be like a fun time. No alcohol required, but yeah, I think that game is very good. I'm very happy to see that they're starting to put out these collections and get them all online and have people get into them for the first time in history. I think that's really important. I did see the whole what is it? I don't know if fucking SNK made it, but I did see the SVC Chaos game. I was just looking at it. I was like curious as to what was going on with that, but I don't know. I've never played it, never touched it. I had some morbid curiosity. But other than that, I've played Capcom versus SNK. Hopefully they get a Capcom versus SNK 3, and if they do, I will definitely be online with that one for sure. So we're gonna move on to Mr. Rad. What is your experience with SNK crossovers?
There haven't been a lot of like SNK being in full on versus fighting games. I mean, single characters have appeared, and say it with me, we'll get to that. But Capcom versus SNK, I have played those games too much. I would especially like to give props to the original for its incredible presentation of the fact that it's celebrating that both of these companies are working together. No one believed it would ever happen. It's just the general presentation of it. The final round music that plays really gets you pumped for that final showdown. And obviously, we've talked about Capcom vs. SNK 2, a notable classic. But SNK's efforts in using Capcom characters are just as valid. We talked about the Neo Geo Pocket. Once upon a time, there was SNK versus Capcom Match of the Millennium, which is a Neo Geo Pocket fighter that got a pretty good Steam port and a Switch port that you can play locally. Which, yeah, I would just love to give props to that game. Shame about the pain in the ass unlock grind for like half the cast. But that's not the only thing. They didn't just do a fighting game. They did a pretty addicting card game called Card Fighters Clash. And the first one actually has a Capcom version and an SNK version where your starter deck may contain characters from said company, depending on the version you pick. I give those game props, even though the setup compared to other card games is slow as molasses, but just the idea of making a dream deck of Capcom and SNK characters alone is worth the price of admission. Just don't play that DS version and make sure you have the non-glitched version or your new game plus ain't going anywhere.
Burn, what about you? What do you think of SNK crossovers in history, whether it's fighting games or card games or anything of that nature? What do you think about them?
I haven't played like the card games, but I used to play Capcom versus SNK 2 specifically, and there's something that I always liked about fighting games in general, and it's when they have. This is gonna sound like the corniest shit ever, but when fighting games have like attitude in some way, when they have something that actually defines them, and it's not just like, oh, fighting game. Because if you compare something like, I don't know, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 to like Street Fighter 3, they are two different games, both in like their style, their aesthetics, their music, their designs, all of that. And something that I always love about SNK is that they know how to give their games their attitude. And their collaboration that they have made with Capcom, both with the Capcom versus SNK and the SNK versus Capcom games, they have done amazing work for that. They have really showed like the kind of things that they are capable of. It's just amazing, and with all of the amount of licenses that SNK has, they have a world beyond them for like crossovers and stuff like that. Like they have so much possibilities that they could do with every single characters, IPs, franchises, so many things.
Andre, how about you? Have you played any crossover SNK games, and what do you think about the idea, the characters crossing over in general?
Uh, I have see did play besides Capcom SNK. I'm trying to think what other SNK crossovers there were. Because uh, drawing blanks on this, but okay. So at least when I played, I did. At least when I played, I really enjoyed them. But Nah, I haven't really played a lot of other ones besides Captain vs. Doesn't get weird, but overall, yeah, they're like I said, they're fun games though. I've always enjoyed like their crossover fighting games. Um, yeah, that's about it. Really, I know my answer is really short.
Oh, no worries. The next one will probably be longer, believe me. Next up is question number 5. So if you had a dream crossover you want it with SNK, whether it be another company, another game series or franchise for them to cross over into, what would it be? And I'm gonna start with Rat first.
Ooh. See, the thing is, I've kind of gotten what I wanted with SNK and Capcom, and it feels like if somebody wants to use SNK's characters, they could do it. Again, which we'll get to because it ties into a later question. I don't know, honestly. I would like to see SNK and Sega work together because Sega just has a lot of good, realistic fighters on their side. Obviously, the Virtua Fighter characters, the Streets of Rage characters, characters from Yakuza and Like a Dragon, if you will. Like, it doesn't have to be a big roster, it just has to be enough of a roster. Hell, you don't even have to stick with fighting games. You can get, you can go crazy. I'm trying to think if Sega has any like shooters on their side because Metal Slug could use a competitor. But yeah, the Sega and SNK need to start shaking hands on whatever. I think people would lose their minds if they saw Terry Bogard going toe to toe with, say, Jackie Bryant.
Ooh, that'd be that would be something lovely. I'm gonna have to co-sign that answer. If I were to like interject and give my answer, I would say yeah, that SNK and Sega. I think maybe look, I'm a crazy person, low key, so I would be like, just get Capcom, get SNK, and get like Sega and maybe Bandai in a room together and say, hey, we want to make this big fighting game with all our characters, and I would fucking lose my mind. I would literally lose it because I think that'd be the best thing since sliced bread. But yeah, definitely the Sega idea, definitely seeing them cross over into like, Namco stuff. That'd be pretty cool. See them fight the Tekken characters. I would take that. I would like that very much. Kaneki, what about you? What do you think of this question?
Double Dragon, Double Dragon, Double Dragon.
Yes, that too. You just for a side scroller is fucking lit. They would have to do something like that.
So imagine Billy and Jimmy take on Kyo and Yori,
Oh, dude.
and they all fight the Orochis together. You know how like the Battletoads and Double Dragon SNES beat 'em up game?
Yeah.
Put that, but with KOF and Double Dragon. That would be day one right there.
My just like killing everyone in a side scroller. I fucking love it.
Or have them as guest characters.
Burn, what about you? What do you think of this with the crossovers? What do you want to see them crossover into with SNK characters?
Um, I guess my answer could be mostly the same as what Red said because honestly, I think some of the best crossovers that I have ever seen have been with Capcom. I will say that I would love to see like maybe if ever Marvel versus Capcom is back, seeing like a guest from like SNK or something like that because it would be kind of interesting for me to see like SNK characters fighting against like maybe some Marvel characters because we have seen them against Capcom characters, some of the most base ones because I mean being against I don't know someone like Dante, someone like Nemesis, it would feel weird in some way. But even then, I don't know. There's something about the idea of like with all of the success that the Marvel fighting games have had all years ago. I just I'm feeling curious about what could happen if there's ever a crossover between SNK and Marvel but with maybe a kind of gameplay of, let's say, a Marvel versus Capcom 1 or something like that. But yeah, like those characters would definitely need to be like either SNK characters will need to be extremely powered up for that, or the Marvel characters will need to be extremely powered down for that, because also characters like, I don't know, Dormammu, Hulk, stuff like that, it will be really odd. But it's something that will be really interesting. And considering that we have seen already SNK and King of Fighter games on a 3D kind of style of gameplay, it will be interesting to see them fighting against like some Tekken characters, like maybe not exactly like a Kazuya or like a Jin, but maybe characters like Martial Law, Lily. Some characters will be interesting to see how they go toe to toe against SNK characters. So those will be my main ideas.
Andre, what about you? Is there a crossover, a dream crossover, a dream idea with SNK characters you want to see that hasn't been done yet?
Uh, let's see, SNK versus Namco, hands down. Like I genuinely think that would be pretty awesome to see because you can see SNK characters fight like Tekken, Soul Calibur, years and the like. And maybe who knows? Maybe throw on like God Eater characters just for funsies. But that's one crossover I love to see. Like I think they can really do it. Like they don't I wouldn't say do it like a cell shaded style. Don't do it like a, I guess, stylized realism style. I think that, yeah, just keep it like us, but yeah, just keep it how like SNK is, and then there's been another crossover. Let's see, I don't know. I guess SNK Streets of Rage, and you have Kyo, Terry, and the Yori in the Streets of Rage universe,
That's
and
fine.
they team up with like Axel.
I,
Yeah.
I think these characters are primed to be in beat 'em ups with the way they move and function. So it would, I think, 100% it would work.
They
Oh,
would
dude,
fit in.
facts.
They would fit in the Sega more than any other crossover. Well, outside of Double Dragon, they fit more in the Sega territory.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be hype
And,
though, because you just yeah.
and Sega published one of their games before, KOF Neowave.
Oh shit, I didn't know that. Okay, I have to look that up.
Were they Sega Sammy at that point? Cause,
Sega
uh,
Sim?
cause, cause, Sega Sammy was a thing. I think Sega just flat out bought Sammy. Sammy were the ones that produced the Atomus Wave platform that Neo Wave was on.
That is interesting.
I don't know. I'm just trying to remember if Sega Sammy was a thing before. This is before Sega bought Atlas, because they bought Sammy. I'm just trying to remember if your point is correct or not. Don't
I
mind
know,
me.
I know, I know. I saw the Sega logo when you play the arcade version. It was ported to. Oh no, that's a mod. That's not what I meant.
Yeah, because Atomus Wave was kind of a sexier Dreamcast.
6 year. I think Sega did bought it at that point.
Yeah, more than likely. Oh my god. It's, the 2000s was a fucking trip. Sammy cross Capcom was rumored.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I heard about that.
All right, so we're moving to the next question, and that is, oh, this is a doozy. So, what is your top 3 favorite SNK characters to play as in a fighting game? I will go first with Kaneki.
That's easy. Terry, Mai, and Yori. They're like the coolest characters that, especially when my first introduction to SNK. Out of all the characters I witnessed from, not well-known series of SNK to the now, where people recognize them more from Fatal Fury and the King of Fighters series. They're like my favorites. They have a soft spot right there. They're like the coolest characters from the SNK side. Also, the villains I will give them as like a bonus. Like SNK knows how to make their villains cool. Like I'm sorry, Capcom, but it's a problem with Bison's like the only Bison and Gil, like the only coolest villains, man. Come on.
Everyone's cool except Dark Ash, which fuck them.
We don't talk about it.
Talk about him. I have to mention him later with a
Fuck that
question.
character forever.
Oh man. I guess I'll go next then. So
Least favorite.
least favorite? You got some least favorites?
He's my least favorite.
Oh
Go
yeah,
on.
yeah. He'd be number one for me if I'm listing off least favorites. Dark Ash, fuck him, and I'll talk about him later. But favorites. Let's see. That's a lot of these characters now I think about it. Okay, Kyo Kusanagi, I love playing as. Everyone knows, and every single KOF tournament, I pick this guy because, the flames are awesome. It's pretty cool to use him and do his moves, red kicks, everything. Some of the Rekka Kyos are very interesting to play with in the later KOF games. I would also say I like Iori as well because again, it's just he's fucking crazy. He's insane. The way he grabs people, it knocks the blood out of them, grabs them and then blows them up in like purple flame. It's awesome to have like a psycho variant of someone using the opposite flames, the purple flames or whatever. And then for my third, this is kind of hard. I'm gonna go with K Dash because I remember when I played KOF like 99 for the first time, and I think he was like prominent in that game, and I kind of liked his design like a lot. The white hair, the glasses, everything. It was like real cool looking. The fucking leather jackets that he was wearing and shit were very awesome. And I was just like, this character like looks really badass. Like, who is this guy? So and then I remember like, my friend I was talking to at the time, he was like, yeah, this K Dash, he's kind of like one of the clones or whatever, or he has some DNA from Kyo or something like that. And I was like, okay, yeah, he looks cool. His fighting style is cool, so I started using him after a while. And I was like, this guy is like he's pretty awesome. So he carried on into like later games, and I remember picking him up, playing him, and I always put him in my team, and I was just like, yeah, this is the one for me. There's other characters, obviously. I was playing a little bit with Shermie, but I also have some hatred for Shermie, so it's a love-hate relationship because Rat likes a user, but I've been getting into that character quite a little bit in some of the tournaments, so you never know. Maybe I'll pick someone up new and I'll have some other honorable mentions, but so far that is my favorite characters that I like to play with in KOF. Next up is Burn. What's your favorite characters in SNK history to play with? Top three.
Usually the ones that I use the most will have been Athena, King. I've lately playing with some other friends and everything. I've been trying to get more into Shermie and a little bit of Geese. And what's the name of this other character? I'm trying to remember. I'm not gonna be able to remember right now. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be able to remember right now. But yeah, I will say that most of the ones that I tend to use will be King, maybe a little bit of K, Shermie. I always like the design of Choi, but I hate playing against Choi. Like every time, I don't know. I always like his design. Every time I saw him scream, I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." But every time I fight against him, I'm just like, "This is the worst character ever." But I don't know. Maybe just like a thing for myself.
Oh shit. I keep forgetting. I have two other honorable mentions. Ken Capuan. He's very cool with the like kicks and everything. I always found that to be awesome. And there's the other person. I just literally King, yeah. Just having a bartender chick go around and kick your ass. That's like so awesome, man. It's just so cool to play as her and do the tornado kick and everything. I really enjoy it a lot. Brad, it is your turn. What is your top three favorite characters to play with in SNK games?
As WWE superstar Biggie once exclaimed, "Three ain't enough, man. I need five." because this is the section where Rad just gushes over SNK waifus, because those are the majority of characters I play. Hotaru Futaba is an amalgamation of all the cutesy SNK characters, but she has her own unique flavor. You can post-match taunt in Mark of the Wolves. Hotaru gives you the old raspberry to stick her tongue out, but she does a little whistle, and then a ferret just falls from the ground and lands on a defeated opponent. She's just a generally cutesy character, but oh my god, I had an uncomfortable crush on her, so I'd be killing myself if I didn't at least mention her. Kula Diamond. Kula Diamond is a character that started off as this cold ice assassin with this foreboding music and this incredible ability to summon like a small little ice stalactite from the ground, and she blows ice on you and she ice skates, and it's a cool creative character. And even though they ruined her with this whole she has an obsession with candy and being a little kid, I still love the original Kula concept of just she's the anti-K, and boy, she sure is now. Iroha from Samurai Shodown. Here's this busty maid, and I have no shame in saying that I am horny on main for this character. Here's this busty maid who bows to the player, vowing to fight in the name of the player. She tosses out projectiles. She spins with her twin blades. She's like a crane spirit. Her super move is the best because she basically takes you behind the wooden door, and so like there's flashes of attacks that happen that end with this like bird cry. Iroha is such a fun character. She brought me back to the 2019 Samurai Shodown in a big way. Athena Asamiya is the character that allowed my transition from Street Fighter to King of Fighters to happen, because she's just got projectiles for days. She has a Psycho Sword Dragon Punch. She has a Psycho Teleport. She is like the queen of zoning. And SNK being SNK gives her a unique outfit for like every KOF game. And when they're not doing boring schoolgirl look or just general kung fu duds for 4 straight years, you get her KOF 2002 outfit where she just looks like she kind of looks like Iris from Mega Man X, or her 2003 outfit where she goes full on pop idol with her like, full on concert dress. Oh, I love that character. I'm trying to think of a number 5 just because Hinako. Hinako is the best because you think of a sumo wrestler right now in fighting games. It's E Honda, it's Ganryu and Tekken. You don't think petite Russian debutante who really goddamn loves sumo and wants to tell the whole world about how, man, isn't sumo just the best? And she's this petite little high school girl, and she's tossing around people with the strength of an ant. I love her. I don't know how she got into KOF 15, but thank you so much for putting her in that game and allowing me to play as her. But man, just the best part about SNK and their female characters is they seem very just down to earth, relatable types. They don't feel too exaggerated. They feel like normal people with extraordinary fighting ability. It's why I like them more over like most of Capcom's offerings. But I don't know. I'm done. Waifu section over.
All right, Andre, it is your turn. Top 3 favorite KOF characters or characters in general from SNK to play with.
That is a really good question. So, to be honest, King Iori and probably Vanessa. Like I said, Iori is the GOAT. He's definitely, I think to me, he's like probably one of the coolest, like, in terms of, like fighting characters when it comes to like drip. I think him and Jin Kazama are like easily matched, you know what I mean? Because I don't think they've ever really had a bad outfit. Like, I think all their designs have been like peak, and Iori honestly also has a really cool persona. Like he's kind of an asshole, but he's also sort of like an anti-hero. I do really like his rivalry with Kyo, and I do think it's funny how like he's a serious character, but in like one of the SNK games, I think it was SNK Heroines, he cross dresses Miss X. I thought that was a pretty humorous thing, and yeah, really like his moveset. I know Yuri's moveset changed quite a lot. Like he used to have purple flames, then he lost it, then he got it back again. But yeah, and also he's a really easy character to pick up, and finally King is another one. Really classy bartender chick with Muay Thai as a fighting style. I always really liked King. Like she was always just from a design point of view, just very simple, but also very classy. And then finally Vanessa, aka the boxing milf. Now Vanessa's dope. She's really cool. I'm definitely kind of glad SNK brought her back in 15. Um, and you don't really get a lot of female boxers in like fighting games because usually when you have a boxing character in a fighting game, you'll have like you have Steve Fox from Tekken or Balrog or Dudley from Street Fighter, but Vanessa honestly feels really unique. And as for another character I want to throw in, I actually really do like that's kind of underrated. I want to probably say Ralph and Clark from Leona's team. I don't know because like I always thought they looked cool, but one of these days, like one day I just randomly started playing. I was like, holy shit, this dude literally like his punches cause fucking explosions, throws all day. Like they're really fun characters. Definitely very underrated. Also, one last character, Antonov, KO 14. He's the only SNK boss I genuinely can't hate because that dude has so much charisma. It's ridiculous. Like it's insane. Like he's just. I think he's like one of the most. Definitely like one of the most, I guess, chillest bosses. Surprisingly, like he's not really a bad guy. He's just running the tournament, but Adam's a really cool character. There's a lot of charisma. I also really like how he's kind of like basically SNK's Triple H. But yeah, that's really about it. Yeah, so I guess it was like, I guess technically 6 characters with Ralph and Clark do count. But yeah, overall, those are probably my top 6 SNK characters. I had to go. Yeah, I got cheated a bit.
Let's see. I
Hold
forgot
on,
to
hold on.
mention.
If you want to cheat, then I should cheat as well.
Yeah, go cheat.
I would only like Kula if she was in DOA 6, which she is.
Isn't Mai also in DOA and they got rid of her?
In DOA 5, yes.
So
Well,
yeah, she's delisted in Dead or Alive 5, but as of this recording, she's still purchasable in DOA 6.
well,
Her and Kula.
for now, so you better get on the bandwagon before it's too late.
That's the only version of Kula I'll accept because they made her cute in that game.
I want to bring up 2 more honorable mentions. I know this one's stupid, but isn't there like a Terry Bogard fangirl in like KOF 14 Alice?
Yes, there
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, that's someone I always was picking, even though that net code was
And
something.
you'll never get to see her again.
Yup, that's the
We
only
don't
game
count
that
the
she's in.
pachinko.
Well, wait, she's in a pachinko game?
Yeah, she
Yep.
originated from a pachinko game, actually.
Oh man, I don't know how I feel about that. That's weird. But yeah, her and what is it, Blue Mary is 2 characters I kind of appreciated. So still like that's pretty good, all things considered. So we're moving on to the next one. It's just gonna make some blood boil, but some of the boss challenges in King of Fighters, they are notoriously known for being completely hard and kicking people's ass. Do you agree with this case, or was it a walk in the park for you? Let's commence and let's go with Rat first.
I feel like a lot of the hatred of SNK Boss Syndrome is incredibly justified because they do not play by the rules of the game. In some cases, some are more exaggerated than others. KOF 11's final boss, Magaki, play the PS2 version. He is at the mercy of some of the PS2 exclusive characters, especially Tung Furu, his leader super, where he just does a full-on fucking Master Roshi Kamehameha. Magaki does not stand a chance. He just doesn't block it for some reason. It's definitely justified with like Rugal, who just DPs you for 1/3 of your health. Gained's the wind caller, who just summons a small little tornado in front of him. Um, if you want to walk in the park KOF boss, there is Orochi. His AI is absolutely pathetic. Just take Cobra Kai's advice, sweep the leg. Um, there's also Zero in KOF 2000. In the console version, he's a pushover. The arcade, not so much. And 2001. I'm already not a fan of 2001 in general. Music, gameplay additions, characters. The original Zero can go jump off a bridge. And Ignis, despite having the best voice actor in existence, is absolutely no different. If I see him walking down the street, I'm just foot on the gas to that fucker. And his exaggerated super that takes 80% of your life. I think SNK has mellowed ever since they've gone back to being SNK, because the bosses of like Verse and Reverse and Otomaraga are just, they are much easier than SNK's previous offerings. And I'm also trying to remember the boss of Samurai Shodown 2019. She has like 2 forms. Shizuka Gozen, where the first form is not so bad, but the second form just has a screen-filling super blast that is really unlike most other Samurai Shodown bosses. Who do suck, granted. Amakusa especially. Good luck hitting him when he teleports across the screen 90% of the time. But yeah, SNK boss and their hatred, despisal, very justified. In some cases, you either know where to look, or you need to know which characters absolutely muck them up. In like KOF 96, for example, if Gainitz is giving you trouble, Leona is your friend.
Kaneki, it is your turn. What do you think of the SNK boss syndrome?
I would like to first disclaim that anyone that struggles with fighting Bison in the old Street Fighter 2 games, go play an SNK game and come back. Yeah, what he said about SNK boss syndrome. Oof, where do I begin of a boss character that does, that does tear my hair out when first playing against these bosses? Who was the boss for 2001? If anyone knows.
Bosses. There's Original Zero, who's the sub boss with the like coat made of blades and the 3 strikers where he calls on his lion. And then there's Ignis with like the golden hair and the whip sword that he can infinite you to death with it.
It was either Ignis or whatever. I forgot what it was. I beat him with Joe. Uh, Man, that was. I'll never again. I don't want to fight that fucking fight again, man. It fucks up my brain sometimes, especially when you consider fighting bosses from even before that KO 2001, where I experienced the older SNK boss syndrome, where the other bosses to me weren't that bad, especially Geese. Like if you know how to fight Geese, then ooh, that man is the easiest back then. Now I feel like, especially since they toned it down, the easiest SNK boss is literally go play KOF 14 or 15. The hardest boss fights is definitely the ones from KOF 2001 and 2.
All right, so I have some history with this. Uh, well, number one, I've noticed the fucking when you run into Kyo Kusanagi's father, and he's a piece of shit to fight. So there's that. Then you have to fight Omega Rugao, and I fucking hated it. It's like he just kept doing the crescent kicks, and I couldn't get in on him, and that was my first like syndrome of saying, what is this? Why is he so hard? What is this bullshit? So yeah, that got on my nerves, and then I fought Dark Ash, and I really just, all he would do is spam Dark Ball, and I just want to rip out my brain because it's so
Oda,
annoying.
Oda, Oda,
Yeah, that's the only noise you're gonna hear for like literally fucking 10 minutes or more.
Oda.
It's annoying. I hated it. But yes, these bosses are no joke. I do believe that, of course, they're gonna have like varying factors, and other characters are gonna beat them clean more than others. I do agree with that. But from what I've played, they live up to their names. They will fuck you up. It's no joke. I think I did like 20 continues on one boss. I don't know if it was Dark Ash or Omega Rugao, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was either or, because I was stuck there for a minute.
Oh, by the way, they also nerfed Omega Ruga Boss Syndrome in 15. Like they do that certain boss mode in 15 where if you want his fucking final form like costume, you have to play that mode.
Mm.
All you had to do now is spam DP with Yuri, and you could easily get the costume. It's definitely not like it would be a long time ago.
Saki as well sucks. Like, oh my god, man, that shit took me like 10 tries. I was so mad at the end of it. I was like, what the fuck is this? Just getting trapped and cornered like several times. Yeah, whoever said they are known for being hard, they will fuck you up for being hard. It's just like, it's no joke with these bosses. So but I think it's a testament to learning. It's not all negative. I think it's a testament to learning how they work, finally getting in and at least defeating them. And when you do beat them, it is the best feeling in a fighting game I think I ever
I don't
had.
know, man. I don't know, man. Dark Ash is like the most negative thing out of all the boss syndromes in SNK history.
Oh, well, definitely fuck him. I have nothing but contempt for that boss. It's just Jesus Christ. I think.
So,
Go ahead.
I had a small revelation of an SNK boss no one really talks about.
Use.
Neo Geo Battle Coliseum. Remember when I said Orochi is a gigantic pushover of a disappointing final boss?
Yeah.
If you want to see Orochi done right, devilishly right, play Neo Geo Battle Coliseum. If you don't do anything spectacular, you'll run into Mizuchi. Mizuchi is full of projectiles and grabs and that full screen Orochi super. Yeah, he's got that too. But that's not enough. That's not enough at all. Neo Geo Battle Coliseum is a tag fighter. Your inactive character regains health while they're on the sidelines. So do the final bosses. Their
Oh.
red health regenerates over time. So you better be aggressive AF if you want to take them down. God, can you imagine SNK bosses with regenerating health? You don't have to imagine it. There's a game out there that makes your nightmare come true.
What is it? Tell us.
It's a tag fighter called Neo Geo Battle Coliseum. There is a PS2 version out there, but I think it is also available on Xbox 360, and it is
Backwards
backwards compatible,
compatibility.
so Xbox Series X owners.
I have it.
Remaster that game, SNK, with rollback.
He's torturing me because I have it, and that's why he mentioned it. So, well, that it's gonna be one of them days, and one of these days I'm gonna be very angry, and when I am, you will definitely know. Next is Burn. What do you think of these SNK bosses? Have you experienced this torment, this salt? Let us know.
No, I actually have never fought against the bosses.
Get
Usually,
lucked
my
out.
experiences with SNK games, I just played like against more people. So yeah, it's not really. I haven't really played like arcade modes in general, just like money matches and stuff like that. So yeah, I will pass on that one. But I've heard things about them.
I've definitely experienced them. I haven't fought many, but from what I fought, I didn't like it. It's
You
just
you,
pretty
you got the
hardcore.
PTSD.
Yeah, I got PTSD forever, man. Andre, what about you? Have you fought any SNK bosses or anything of that nature?
Uh, yeah. Bro, it's like Rugal. Rugal definitely comes to mind. Yeah, a scumbag. I guess, bro, it's like Sagi from KO 13. Yeah, that. Oh boy, fuck Psyche, man. Garbage ass character from one of the most mid SNK characters, Ash Crimson. Oh my god. Like, I get why Ash has some fans, but I'm sorry, man, he sucks. But nah, that's really all I gotta say. I think you guys said better than me, really.
I hate Saki, so you know what? I'm right there with you, brother. I can't stand him, dude. Uh,
I, bruh, fuck that guy. Awful.
I resonate 100%. We're gonna have an intermission here, and that intermission is obviously they showed a SNK character in another fighting game franchise, Street Fighter. So Mai Shiranui, they showed her gameplay. God damn it! I'm looking at the chat. They showed her gameplay in Street Fighter 6, and what do you guys think about it? And I want to start with Kaneki first.
You have my attention. My in Street Fighter 6, the gameplay, she's gonna be broken. Like, especially with the bouncing fan after she shows her fan, and then it then all like goes on fire just to bounce back down onto the opponent. She's gonna be broken. She has what you call a mix of movesets from 15 and the other KOF Fatal Fury game she has. And and what I think is, you know how they show off Terry Bogard's gameplay and how he is right now in Street Fighter. I feel like they're gonna do extra with my like how they treat Terry like a fucking royalty in Smash Brothers Ultimate. They're gonna do that for Mai in 6. They're gonna give her everything, bro.
Rat, it is your turn. What do you think about my?
First of all, this is the best she has ever looked in 3D. Props to you, Capcom, for.
BOA 6.
No,
Go
I
on.
disagree. Props to you, Capcom, for quelling my fears in the World Tour cutscene. Uh, I would like to know, why is it that in Street Fighter 6 every character needs a hook and a gimmick? Especially Mai, who has had nothing like this before. There is supposedly some type of flame uh gimmick she has where she gathers like a bunch of flames and they enhance some of her special moves. She's going to be a menace. Whether or not she's going to be the best in the game is definitely up for debate and a 2 months from now problem. But
1 month.
I haven't played Street Fighter 6 in a while. The idea of Mai being in the game is definitely enticing me to give her a shot, see what she's about. And wow, thank you again, SNK and Capcom, for making this happen. A ditto for Ken and Chun-Li being in Fatal Fury eventually.
Uh, so my opinion is, I got
My opinion.
I gotta say this from the comment section. When someone said my rendered in RE Engine, they quoted Gambit saying, "Oof, I'm about to make a name for myself here." I like her moveset and how she looks in this game. Her shoulder rush seems to be, just her elbowing, shouldering. That seems to be a very strong move, and it's going to be good for catching people, trying to rush them down, and we need that to
Oh,
happen. Her flames also just, again, if people are jumping in, I know people
oh,
like they jump in like crazy on Street Fighter, so they're gonna get fucked when that move comes out. It's
Ren,
just
real quick.
yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt real quick. Give her props to the English dub voice actor of Mai for this one. I don't know if she's voicing Mai in City of the Wolves, but this English voice for Mai is the best one so far. Keep it up.
Oh, I I, I
Can,
I liked it. It's pretty good. Who's voicing her? Do you
I
know?
mean, I don't mean to interrupt, but Kaneki, she's gonna be in Save the Wolves. It's the same
Yeah,
chick.
it's the same
Okay.
voice actress.
She does a better job in this game with voicing Mai so far. I want to hear how she's City of the Wolves.
We have come a long way
Mm.
where even English Mai does yo ni poichi,
That's a
and
famous
not like
quote.
I'm number one or something as generic as that.
Hey,
Oh
she's
yeah.
number one. She is the best fighter.
In fact, I was yeah. I agree with the rap, but also English Terry is also really damn good too. Like I think they did a great job with Terry and Maya's English VAs and Street Fighter Six and Save the Wolves.
That's weird because I like his voice in City of the Wolves, the English dub one. For Street Fighter Six, I don't know. Something was off. But you could go ahead, Ren.
Oh, I was saying, yeah, people are gonna jump in with that character, and they're gonna get completely fucked by doing that. She has a lot of strings that are very interesting. Her combos look cool, actually. I hope that translates into just some fun, some nice execution. I like her kick that she does where she like somersaults in midair. It's just cool. Everything about this trailer is what I expected about the character and then some. So I'm hoping to really say she's probably gonna be good. Maybe, hopefully, she'll be good. I'm super excited after seeing this, and I just cannot wait to play as her. Just like Terry, it's a very fun time for SNK characters in these Capcom games. So I can't wait for that. But I gotta move to Burn. Burn, what about you? What do you think about Mai in Street Fighter 6? Do you like the gameplay so far?
From what I've seen from the gameplay, I haven't seen so much, but I've seen like interesting things. Uh, just not. I'm not really that well versed to speak much into it, but I will say that the fact that in Street Fighter Six they have included not only one but two guest characters and unique guest characters such as King of Fighters characters like Mai and Terry. Uh, that's amazing, actually. I'm loving that. The fact that Capcom is being more open to collaborating with more and more companies for things like that. I mean, let's remember a couple of years ago with Ryu and Ken on Super Smash Brothers. The years and years and years of collaborations that they have done with Marvel, with SNK, with what is the name of this other game with Tatsunoko and many other things, and finally seeing like a collaboration like this instead of just like a crossover, but like an actual collaboration. Seeing Mai here is just amazing, and Mai and Terry, both of them.
Andre, what about you? What do you think of Mai's gameplay so far?
Maya looks excellent. I really love what I see of her. Like, everything from her, like her animations and just the flame effects look really nice. I really love her level 3 super. It looks so cool, dude. It's very definitely her level 3 looks very. It definitely looks really pleasing. And it's very and I gotta give props to Capcom. The Street Fighter 6's animation on the supers are like really. They're really good. Like a lot of the animations are really nice to look at, and I also really like how they have her Save the Wolves look as like her alternate costume. So that's really cool. So when I was watching more of the trailer, I think I think Mai is gonna be an easy character to use. Like, I don't see her being super tricky because, like, when Terry came out, Terry was a pretty easy. Like I said, Terry's a beginner-friendly character, so I think Mai is gonna be the same way. I do think sure fans are gonna be a bit of a problem online, and yeah, Capcom's gonna probably have to nerf that. But overall, I'm very impressed, and yeah, I really love Mai. She looks dope. Really excited to try her out when she comes out. I want to say February 5th. So yeah, overall, very impressed. Oh my god. Yeah.
Dude, that was worth it. That was 100% worth it. Yeah, the fans are gonna fucking, what is it? 3 flaming fans? My God, dude! Like,
I mean, they already showed off 2 amazing fans, if you know what I'm saying.
well, I'm not gonna say nothing because I might be getting in trouble if I did. So I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut and hit that dusty old trail. Uh,
Have you seen the tweets from them after that fucking gameplay trailer?
I have not. I've only seen the top comment with the Gambit comment. That's it. I'm
There
sure.
was a tweet. There was a tweet where they basically said, "Mai brings all the boys to the yard."
Oh, the community manager from the Street Fighter thread. Yeah, I saw that yesterday. I was like, you know what, community manager, good one on you for getting the meme and the joke. Now everyone's gonna use it, so can't wait for that. Uh, okay, moving on from that. But next question. Some people usually said that SNK had complicated motions like pretzel motions, and they were hard to execute in the older games. Do you agree with this criticism? Yes or no? Brad, I want you to go first.
Mm, um, yeah, it's kind of hard to justify a lot of them today. I mean, the famous pretzel motion is legendary, and it carried over to it carried over to one of their exciting new characters, K49, and then by proxy, Nameless had the same pretzel motion for just basic supers. We've had some fucked up inputs. Doing the goddamn pentagram should note that, but Raging Storm's a bit rough. I think everything else is kind of fine. The half circles, the quarter circle back to half circle forward, a little bit of the like a pendulum rotation, not so bad. But I've noticed that a lot of these complicated motions had kind of died down in later SNK games, which personally I am all for. It's more about the when rather than the how. But yeah, that's kind of really all I have to say. Most of the criticism is justified, and that's why we've kind of stepped away from them over the years. Though, if Street Fighter 6 and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is proof, if you know, you know, and you get small benefits if you know. Like Terry's Power Geyser, if you do the Power Geyser motion that it typically is in Street Fighter 6, you'll still get a Power Geyser.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. When it comes to older KOFs, I remember what was it? Kyo's like finisher. I just remember it was quarter circle, then quarter forward, and then I was just like, you do the inputs and commands. I was like, what is this?
I can just point directly to Angel or Angel, depending on how you want it pronounced. Just take one good look at her move list and ponder how a human is supposed to comprehend even doing basic attacks with her.
I'm gonna take a look at that right now. But
And then in terms of complicated motions, there's an obscure SNK arcade game called Bariki 1. It's more of a realistic fighter with noteworthy fighting styles attached. It's more of a mixed martial arts game. You attack with the joystick, like you do motions, you do direction attack, You move by pressing the face buttons.
Oh my god.
What?
Yeah, try wrapping your head around that.
I don't think I won. Oh my god, I see Angel's Commands in KOF 2002. What the fuck is this?
You just got to know your starter and your mid move and your ender. It's not bad. It's just like the Killer Instinct.
It's oh my god, just to do
But
her final
the
tiger attack. Holy shit, dude.
but the difference is do it faster.
Oh. Yeah, I see that. I see the command right next to it.
Okay. Geese's Rage and Storm input, but some of them you have to do faster.
Oh no. Oh no. That has nothing on Deadly Rave.
Which one?
Any of them. Geese's Deadly Rave, Rock's Neo Deadly Rave. Terry even gets a Deadly Rave type. Athena
Actually,
has a
no.
Deadly Rave type.
There is
You
one
you
Deadly
not you
Rave.
not only you not only have to do the super motion. When it happens, you have to tap a combination of buttons in order really fast. And if you fuck up at any point, you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. And don't forget the special finisher at the end to get the most out of it.
There is
Oh
one
my
Deadly
god.
Rave that beats it. Pull that off in KOF 96, the most game where, hey, your inputs won't come out because it's KOF 96.
It's a shame. I really like that game too. It's got one of the better KOF soundtracks.
The input sucks in that game, though. Holy shit.
Well, Burn, what do you think of these pretzel motions so far in KOF?
Not much to say. I really have a lot of issues whenever I have to do extremely precise pretzel motions like those. Uh, just the fact that some of the motions that you need to do for certain attacks in King of Fighters are basically like a charge mixed with like a DP. It's like what? Like my hand is not even able to do that that quickly. I will say that maybe I will need to check some of those with maybe a different kind of controller, maybe like a hitbox or something to give it a shot. But yeah, no, it's one of the main reasons of why I usually do not fuck with any of the characters that really have extremely complicated motions because for me it's really impossible. I consider that the combos for King of Fighters I have seen some, and I have seen that they have weird motions and all that. But even some of the normal ones, what I do see is that they have a lot of. They are really high execution because they can be like quarter circle, light punch, light kick, quarter circle backward, light punch again, and just like several inputs again and again with like a kind of specific timings. And I'm like, okay, just like give me a minute because I have to wrap my mind around them, and even then it's just like kind of hard for me. And with the amount of characters that King of Fighters game has, I don't know. I have a lot of respect for the people that know how to play many characters because it's hard.
Andre, how about you? What do you think of the pretzel motions in KOF games or any games with complex motions in SNK games?
Not a fan personally. I don't know. I really don't like pretzel inputs because, like, I don't mind charge moves and stuff like that. Like charge moves I can do, and I don't mind like the Hadoken inputs, but like I don't like that shit for fighting games. That's actually what kind of turned me off from playing Geese because when I found out one of the supers like pretzel motions, was like, yeah, I'm out. I'm not dealing with this. Yeah, I'm kind of glad they got rid of this in the later SNK games because Jesus Christ, man, like in the older KOFs, like the motions were ridiculous. But yeah, but nah, I'm not a fan of them, and I'm glad they're not in the game anymore. That's all I gotta really say.
All right, we're moving on to question number 10. Do you think current SNK is in a better position after they went bankrupt? Is there anything you want to praise with them moving forward, like their large rosters, or anything that they need to improve now? And Rad, I'd like to pick you first for this one.
Is SNK doing better than they were before? I don't know. Considering that characters from SNK games have shown up in Street Fighter 6, Dead or Alive 5 and 6, Soul Calibur 6, Fighting EX Layer, goddamn Super Smash Brothers. And there are people out there that are inspired by SNK's games, practically knocking down their door to get them into their games. We had Geese Howard in the same game as Akuma, and it was neither Capcom or SNK that developed it. Is SNK in a better place after they went bankrupt? Absolutely. They are now more well known than they have ever been worldwide in the history of their existence.
I would like to go next. I'm going to be very brief. So I would say, yes, they are definitely in a better place right now, especially with all the crossovers and stuff like that. Of course, it wasn't good news when they went bankrupt the first time, but luckily Playmore came and snatched them up real quick. Uh, I personally think what they could improve on. The only thing I want, and as a fan, I mean every fan's gonna say it, like just more games from them, more of some of these IPs, maybe new IPs or stuff like that, stuff getting revived, that can push it into the future, because I would just like to see way more from SNK. But what they're putting out there is really great right now for the time being. And the only thing I think I can say is, like, yeah, more games, more crossovers, more characters, more of this stuff where it's like people are really enjoying it and they just want to see just that. And I think it's going to flourish like really well for them, especially monetarily, because I'm sure they're getting some of this Capcom money now. So I'm sure it's going to go well over for them pretty good.
Yeah.
Kaneki.
The
Oh,
thing,
what?
I'm sorry, I didn't get to mention
Okay.
praise and whatnot. The thing with SNK is that I'm glad they're not just the KOF studio. I mean, they still do KOF, but eventually you get a weird game like SNK Heroines that they've only done once before, and just they never would have done this beforehand. They would have just been the KOF studio a decade ago, but now they put out a new Samurai Showdown. They even went back and decided to act on 25 years of unfinished storytelling, and they're making a new Fatal Fury game. I just want to praise them. If anything, uh, I don't know, just generally consider the movement of the industry and the standard of fighting games crossplay rollback. This is what I'm hoping Fatal Fury knocks it out of the park in for both. Just copy paste a lot of what Street Fighter 6 did, crossplay rollback, big ass lobbies with people you can talk to and activities you can do that aren't one-on-one fighters.
Brad,
That's kind of about it.
I
Yes,
have a question for you. You know,
I have an answer.
considering that they've made their SNK subsidiary studio into a KOF studio that makes the fighting game stuff only, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's generally a good idea to recognize what butters your bread. But if I looked at that studio listing correctly, they're also listed as the dev team for the in concept Samurai Showdown RPG. So I think it's less of a fighting game studio and more a name for their A team, their production studio one, if you will.
No, so something like how Capcom has like Dev 1, Dev 2,
Yep.
Dev 3.
But I'm
Okay.
looking to be surprised. Give us a new sexy Metal Slug SNK. I know you have it in you.
I wouldn't mind that. I think we need a new modern Metal Slug. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Like, I didn't get to talk much about Metal Slug because I was gushing about Samurai Showdown, but these are the Neo Geo's answers to Contra and Gunstar Heroes. And Metal Slug 7 is especially my favorite because all the characters have unique little quirks to them, especially Theo. Theo comes with a upgraded machine gun weapon, but just generally stuff like that. Make a new Metal Slug, give everybody like unique quirks and abilities to make them stand apart from one another. Metal Slug Tactics, I see you, but it's not the car I wanted.
Kaneki, it is your turn. Do you think SNK is in a better place, and what do you think of this new KOF studio that is going to make like a lot of their games going forward now?
Before I answer all of that, I am glad I'm not the only one that thinks about tactic, Metal Slug Tactic, because I wanted a new Metal Slug, but so far that was not the game I wanted for a new Metal Slug. I need my traditional Metal Slug back. Now, to answer the question, the answer is pretty obvious if you watched Evo 2019 in terms of announcements. 2019 was the start of the SNK takeover. They're pretty much set from being bankrupt, probably for a very long time if they keep this up. But so many crossovers uh, that they're planning or already planned with Street Fighter 6. And, you know, the nudge winky wink on the possible Capcom versus SNK. If we buy their the Capcom Fight Collection 2 with the games in it. Yeah, and I'm excited for the new Samurai Shodown RPG. So they're definitely not going anywhere anytime soon. Definitely better positioned than what they were years ago, especially during the dark ages of 2D fighters, where the only fighting games ever surviving years ago were Tekken and Soul Calibur and Mortal Kombat. The KOF studio, I am really interested to see how they will do, outside of fighting games, because like Rad said, they're doing the Samurai Showdown RPG. At least we know there's an action RPG. So I'm curious how they'll do with that game.
Burn, it is your turn. What do you think of this new KOF studio? And of course, do you think that SNK is in a better position nowadays?
Same thing. I don't think I am really well versed about that. I really didn't know about the bankruptcy of SNK. But I have high hopes for them, honestly, with everything that they have been doing lately. Usually, is the new Garou games is being made by that same team, or is it another team?
I don't know actually. That's something I have to look into, but I know they've made KOF 15 and they definitely made the new Sam show. I'm not sure about Garo though.
Okay, okay.
They're, they're
The
making
same
Garm.
KOF studio has made KOF 15, Samurai Showdown, and the upcoming City of the Wolves. It's
Oh,
the same team.
oh, they are. So okay, all right.
Okay. So yeah, honestly, seeing the things that they are coming into right now, the upcoming things, really seems to have a lot how to say it, like the old kind of energy of SNK. So I guess we'll have to wait until we see what happens. But high hopes, honestly.
Andre, it is your turn. What do you think of the new KOF studio? And do you think that SNK is in a better position nowadays?
Absolutely. Yeah, SNK is in a much better spot than they were back then because yeah, they struggled a lot during the pretty much when arcades were like pretty much dying out. They went through bankruptcy, and for a while it seemed like their future was kind of uncertain. I know they kind of came back, like us SNK played more, and then eventually we got 12 and 13. Um, 2010s was a very kind of like a really slow ride. You know, we got SNK was no we got KO 13, we got 14, which the wait for 14 was like what 5 years, and the wait for 15 was at least 6 years. So yeah, for a while, SNK wasn't doing much, but it was kind of like the slow build up for them to sort of become the respected again. And I think a lot of the crossovers really helps them solidify that too. Like Tyrion fighting X-Slayer, Geese and Tekken 7, so on and so forth, and also how Mario and Soul Calibur 6. And I think now they're doing excellent. We got the upcoming City of the Wolves. Art of Fighting is coming back, and Sam Show is getting like an action RPG. And but this is a bit of a hot take, but I do think they should take a break from King of Fighters for a good while, like maybe 6 to 7 years, so they can bring other stuff back, like I said, Metal Slug. Like take a break from KO for a good, I'd say for a decent period of time. Just let the other IPs flourish for a bit. And when they do a new KOF, I want to say this might be like a bold direction, but I don't know, maybe try the 3D thing, try the 3D aspect again, but
Yeah,
I think this time, like Unreal Engine 5 and something like that. Yeah.
I was about to say,
But
because I was like, didn't they do 3D before with like Maximum Impact 1 and 2?
yeah, it was okay. Let me reiterate: do 3D again, but better. Like just like fine tune it more. Because I don't hate the Maximum Impact games. Like I think they're fun, but they have a lot of problems. I'll put it that way. They're not. It's. I mean, Gale's not meant to be 3D, and yeah, but
Yeah.
in a way, if they can learn from that, I mean, hey, they could probably reverse it with 16. But that's all I gotta say.
Well, that's ironic because I changed the next question and I'm like, any revivals or ideas you want to see them do going forward next? Rad, I'll start with you first.
Yeah, I'm just gonna echo my statement for a new Metal Slug. You can try to do it in 3D, but we've seen how that turns out. So, like, bring .mu in. They're very familiar with 2D games with cool HD sprites. Bring in all the characters. Bring back the B
The
team
main
you had.
four.
Bring back the B team you had Metal Slug for. I think it's like Nadia and it's Nadia and Tyrone, I think. Just get the whole Sparrows together, the Peregrine Falcons. Give them unique abilities depending on who you select. D- I don't care how much of a character it is. Keep it Morden. I think you've gone a bit overboard with the aliens side of it, but you could sort of save it for the end or as like a bonus level. I don't know. Metal Slug has such a memorable just cast of characters, not necessarily the playable side. All the prisoners you save, which just thank you for saving them, and just crazy stuff where you get turned into a zombie and you puke blood on enemies. I feel like I'm just sort of contradicting myself in what I want from a Metal Slug. Like their cartooniness is where they shine, but I just want the fun gameplay. And I know there's a dev out there that can do both, like .mu, for example.
Yeah, I really like the Metal Slug games. I think Windjammers is a cool little concept that they could also kind of, stick with, maybe make another one. They have a lot.
They did.
Well, another one, not just the one that they made
Jeez.
recently. They could make another one, but they could also probably do some of these platformers from the old school days. Like I like the aesthetics of Nightmare in the Dark, where it's like it looks like a little bit of a horror game, an ancient horror game. They could probably just sort of revive it, do something with that. If you're gonna go this route of bringing back like a lot of older IPs or stuff that people are making, you got your fighting game side, and then you can have your sort of side scrolling side or beat 'em up side, and do a bunch of games in that department, and maybe like I don't know some cool sports games, because I mean you do have some football characters that you can use, and I mean it's like make a little game out of that, where I mean they're not doing like Tecmo Bowl anymore. They could do something maybe with that where you're playing like a fun stupid arcade football game. So I wouldn't mind like just a variety of stuff to keep the players like sort of interested and go into new ventures, so to speak. But it is Burns' turn. What do you want them to revive personally for SNK?
Since my first introduction to them was mostly Metal Slug, I will say we definitely need like something more of Metal Slug. The games were really fun. They had so many things, and the recent quote unquote, just like big quotes game that they released, the Metal Slug, for Steam. I don't remember the name. I don't even want to remember it honestly. That is not really good at all. We really need SNK to like revive Metal Slug in some way. And I'm pretty sure they could have like some interesting things or also ideas for that. But yeah, definitely for me, Metal Slug is like top of the list.
Metal Slug X Contra. Oh my god, I don't know how that worked, but that just popped in my
Damn,
head. Uh,
that would be crazy. That would be good.
that would be pretty crazy, yeah. Kaneki, what about you? You have any sort of ideas for this?
A lot, a lot. World Heroes with the cartoon like characters. I want them to revive that. As a side gig because I do like what that game had to offer. Also revive. If they want to get the license, if they have permission, they can do a revival Double Dragon fighting game. Because I would want one.
Yeah.
Um,
SNK has to hit up Arc System Works on that,
no, well, I hope
because
one day it can happen.
Arxis has the Double Dragon full stock. Although that Rage of the Dragons port was really nice to see.
Yes, it
Finally.
was. Finally! And I won a contest over that, which thank you to, I forgot the name of the company that gave you the code. It's a Brazilian company that was doing the ports.
The old man in me is just thankful that we have clear as day sound clips of all the characters. Like, I've never heard it in that crisp a quality before. Like, if you're looking for a spectacular
Cute by
port,
Interactive.
yeah, Cubite did their homework. And if you're looking for a strong remaster of a jank ass 2000s fighting game, Rage of the Dragons is something you need to look into. It was
I'll
so
give them
close
a
to
shout out.
being a it was so close to being an actual Double Dragon fighting game.
They can also bring back, if they want to, because people have been playing this game a lot in Fightcade, or before Fightcade even had a sequel. They could bring back Karnoff's Revenge. Like, I need a revival of that game.
Personally, has anyone here played a fighting game called Voltage Fighter Gao Kaiser?
No, I have not, but that name
No,
Masami
sounds
Abari.
unfortunately.
Masami Abari, the guy who designed some of your favorite Super robots and directed the Fatal Fury anime, the Battle Arena Toshinden anime, and even Voltage Fighter Gal Kaiser got an anime from him, was recently on Twitter a couple of weeks ago talking about the idea of, man, I would really like a revival of Voltage Fighter Gal Kaiser, but I don't know who owns the rights to that game anymore. And it's such a shame because it's a unique fighting game on its own. How would you feel about a fighting game where, in the one player mode, the opponent you beat, you can steal their power and use it
What the
in
fuck?
future fights? Yes,
so you could be
yes.
Mega Man for real. Okay.
Sort of, sort of. It's like you take their weapon and you can add it to your move list. It's really cool.
I don't think people would want that, especially now.
I mean, it's just in the one-player mode. Versus is a typical fighting game, but I definitely think it's one you should look into.
Okay, I might give that
Mhm.
a little bit of a look. That sounds pretty awesome, actually.
But yeah, shout outs to Cube Like Interactive for what is it, for giving me a code because I won one of their sweepstakes for what is it, Rage of the Dragons Neo. We need to do that tournament for that, Ren. Buy the Steam version so we could play.
I will look into this game because this is the first time I'm hearing of it. So if it's interesting looking and cool,
Really?
yeah. If it's,
Well, it's the most double dragon fighting game. It's gonna be SNK ever done, or like close to it. The closest you're gonna get.
I'm gonna look at a trailer and see it. It looks exactly like what the fuck. This is amazing. But I had another idea in mind as well, real quick. I
Go ahead.
maybe it could be just give it another year or so. Maybe in due time they can make another Sam show because I'm sure like support for the new one is pretty much over with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they could probably
Um,
make
the
another one.
recent they had was the recent they had is rollback netcode, but I don't know if people still play it.
Some part of me
Uh,
doubts it.
yeah, I don't think it has a big
Nah,
player
it's
base in
it's pretty
Steam.
much dead across the board, unfortunately.
Yeah, so
Like, as there's some tournaments once in a while on Xbox, but casually you aren't gonna find anyone otherwise. Like, it's a Discord fighter, and it's such a shame because that's such a unique fighting game nowadays for people who are tired of long combos.
Oh hey,
Yeah.
hey, that's a label for most anime fighters. That's not Guilty Gear or sometimes Under Night.
I fucking hate that you're right that they're Discord fighters because no one plays them. It sucks, but it's true.
Like, bro, you ever heard this game called fucking Chaos Code?
I
And if you
have.
don't, I don't blame you. Oh, you have. Good, good, good. Yeah, that game is dead.
Yo, Rage of the Dragons look fire. This is awesome. What the-
Yeah,
just seeing a
it's
giant pro
it's
wrestler
it's
fight in the ring
it's
is
on the
amazing.
same hardware as the first Fatal Fury.
Oh my god. And
Yeah,
it's on the
How
Switch as well.
how they managed to do all that in that engine during that time?
I have no idea. And the same team, Noise Factory, that SNK snatched up, also made a sequel to Power Instinct. If you're familiar with that at all,
That sounds familiar. Power Instinct.
Power Instinct Matra Melee is a kooky fucking game where everyone fights
Oh
for the
fuck yeah.
right to
Yeah.
marry the princess. And you have to fight the princess in order to earn her hand in marriage. And motherfucker, you're gonna earn those wedding bells.
I remember that game for having now I remember that game because they have a song where do you like Super Sentai or Sentai Heroes? Well, they have a song for you if a Sentai hero is broke.
What the
They have a
And
whole song for it.
and in the Neo Geo version, you can input a code and unlock some Rage of the Dragons characters. Cause same dev. But yeah, Matra Melee is another game I just wanted to sort of bring up in terms of developers who got the absolute best they could from a system from the 1990s.
her wedding rings are brass knuckles. That is amazing.
Hold on, I need to see what else that they could bring back from the Neo Geo.
Ren, that's not even the craziest thing she can do. Like, she pulls out a treasure box and then a big old spirit comes out and punches you. The spirit is a Bobo from Double Dragon.
What? Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. It's like her, but it's like the move she does like 90% of the time.
That is complete insanity to me. I have
Oh,
to see this game.
okay, okay, Ren. They need to bring back King of the Monsters.
King of the Is that Godzilla?
Yes, that too. That would be a fun little. It's like a kaiju wrestling game.
Yep,
Wait,
Oh,
that's SNK?
Yes,
yep,
that was
that
Really,
was
also
them.
man?
Oh
SNK
my
developed.
god! I didn't know
That's
that.
pretty
You
cool.
see what I mean? You see what I mean? Like, you probably don't know. you probably knew SNK made KOF, but you probably didn't know you were playing SNK games way back when.
That was me with fucking certain games for sure.
That
Yeah,
was me
no,
when I
a
was
lot.
playing. That was me when I was playing a little shooter called Ikari Warriors.
I've heard of that
Oh yeah,
game.
that's
I've
true.
That one
heard of
too?
it.
Oh
That
my
was
That one
them.
god!
too.
Jesus.
The main characters from that, Ralph and Clark, ended up in the King of Fighters. That
They
was the
are
King of
wait, they are
Fighters.
Ruff and
That
Clark?
makes sense.
What the
Ralph and
Yeah,
Clark.
that's
what?
crazy.
You just
I can see,
blew.
yeah.
King of Fighters was the original crossover. Let's take Fatal Fury, Art of Fighting, Psycho Soldier, Ikari Warriors, and make
Athena,
a crossover
yeah.
fighter.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh
Athena
my
was from a
god!
different game.
Yeah, blows your mind, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, they have a shared universe.
That is amazing. I didn't even
Also
know that
ran.
myself. Good.
I think I got it's good for 11. I'm not too sure.
I have a question. Do you want to go on this, Andre, or no?
Sure. What is it?
It's what should SNK revive next in your mind, if you have any ideas?
Metal Slug. There you go. That's my answer.
I mean, yeah,
just do it.
that's what I think too. Metal Slug, definitely. You gotta make another one of those.
Oh, bring
Real.
back Ninja Masters.
Ninja Master. Let me take a look at this.
It's the one where you fight Nobunaga as the final boss.
You know, I'm all down for Ninja
Oh yeah,
Samurai
that
shit.
was not SNK. That was ADK. That was Alpha
Damn
Denshi.
it!
They
Damn it!
were
Well,
another dev team that SNK snatched up, which is why World Heroes is in Neo Geo Battle Coliseum, as well as Kisara from Aggressors of Dark Combat, which is another cool character that I will not be gushing about in this podcast because I went too long.
Yeah. Hey, it happens to us all, man. I had a side question before we go to the last one. So
Go ahead.
that KOF movie and just King of Fighters media in general,
La
animated
la la
media.
la la la.
So moving on to the final question.
The movie never existed. It was
I
a
mean, Ren,
bad
you want to
fan
talk about?
project.
Ren, you want to talk about that movie where Mai is with Yori and she doesn't have her, her biggest assets in that movie? Go ahead.
Bro,
I'm just gonna say one thing, just one small thing. The fact that they gave Kyo a sword is laughable. I'm like, what is this bullshit?
what's even worse is Keel isn't even Japanese. He's white. Like they fucking race swapped him in the movie.
And Terry's a U.S. agent or like a
like,
spy or something. I'm like, what? That's not
Yeah.
Terry.
He's a CIA.
CIA. Oh, what the fuck? That's not him. He's the legendary Hungry Wolf, and that's what you presented
The
him.
KOF movie, it's a virtual fucking universe
Bruh.
where you put on an earpiece and you're transported to the stage of your choice.
That doesn't even make
Oh
sense
my
to the
Christ in
lore. Holy
heaven.
shit.
They got
Yeah.
fucking Ray Park to play Rugal, and God bless him for putting on the performance of a lifetime that would make Raul Julia blush, but Rugal, you are not.
I wanna see a picture of him. I need to be reminded. I need this. Hold on. What the? No. That's not Rugal. No. Well, it's like the only thing they remembered is he has like the one little eye, and that's it. But he looks nothing like this character. He looks like a random biker.
I think they also remembered Mature and Vice used to work for him, so that's another plus, I guess.
Yeah, they're in photos with
Yeah,
him.
which was the case in the games, so
That's the only other thing they got right. Everything else they got wrong.
Well, watch the I know they had like a little animated Fatal Fury.
yes.
Watch that. Don't watch this movie.
They also had like animated shorts to push the upcoming Maximum Impact 2 KOF Another Day. They're shorts, but they're decent fun, even if they're barely connected to one another. Catch them dubbed if you can, if you're down for some cheesy hilarity.
It's not an animated movie, or it's not even a short, but one thing I liked is that in the intro of KOF Dream Match for the Dreamcast, they had like this animated fight between Kyo and Iori, and I was like, this is pretty good. Maybe they should make like a film out of this or something, because it was animated like super well. So whoever did that, like, super props to you, because I really enjoy that opening. I watch it like every time I boot the game.
There
Only
was
be
there was a CG series out there that was based on KOF 94 called The King of Fighters Destiny. It's a little disappointing, but if you've got 5 minutes an episode to spare, you can get through it in like 2.5 hours.
I hate the models. Like, why is everyone fucking ugly? Like, they're not even trying either.
Yeah.
This movie is awful.
Like, not even for for that purpose, but like, what the fuck engine they were using for the CG?
Yeah, that's another thing too. I heard some of these, they have some bad animations, but I still don't think nothing can beat this live action movie. This is primo garbage. What did they do to my boy? No, but
Actually, it's either that or Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun Li for worst
okay,
fighting game
we're
adaptation.
we're definitely moving on to the next question. We're definitely moving on. Question number 12. Um,
DOA.
what do you did DOA suck too? I remember that, but
Oh my god.
what do you think of SNK's impact and aesthetics in 2D fighting games at large for the last question? Kaneki, I am going with you first.
Like the biggest impact for them when it comes to that is, uh, like I can't look at certain Capcom sprites ever after if you witness the aesthetics of 2D fighting games when it comes to the SNK era. Like, it's like if Capcom did the 2D sprites, but SNK's like, we're gonna give it an extra touch for each animations for each characters. Like, it's Capcom on steroids when it comes to the 2D era back then for SNK sprites. But then there's times where they have to reuse them for certain games. I hope they bring them back one day for some games. Like, I miss the 2D era of SNK.
Yeah, I'm gonna pretty much keep it short and agree. I think just again, I go back to my first stance on this. Like, they make very iconic, cool looking, standout ish characters. They also really jive together. They flow together in gameplay, and it's really good. In terms of like aesthetics and how the sprites looked and everything, for especially 13, it looked so fucking amazing. I think all of that was like incredible for what it was. um I hope they go back to it someday, but I do understand, like, I know people were criticizing it as well with KOF 14 and saying, "Oh, it doesn't really look that great. It looks like shit." And they went back and they did an update. And then 15 ever since then looked really fire for the most part, and Garou looks even better. So they're starting to master this whole style of you know 2.5D or whatever the fuck they call it. And it looks stellar for the most part. So I think going forward with this style, I'm okay with, but I do still want to see their hand drawn stuff. And Rad said earlier, like, hit up .emu if you want some good stuff. And I think maybe going in that direction would be pretty cool. But their fighters to me are legendary due to their impact of how they want it to be, like, just different. Because that's what I play SNK games for. KOF 4 is, the execution, the high style, the high, risk reward. It really is very good in these games, and they're super like intricate, and you don't get that with like a lot of other 2D fighters. Like, I'm sorry to say, but either some of them are very simplified, or you run into the syndrome. We talked about this on a previous podcast, Buster Wolf, where it's a lot of dumbed down, not really great 3D arena anime fighters out there, and it's just kind of oversaturated. So, this is a pretty good element that they've added in so far, and I'm glad they survived for like all these years, even in the midst of bankruptcy. So I can't wait for more of their games and more of their impact from there, and see what they do with them in terms of making them either intricate or making these styles like, you know, incredible for what they are with these cool characters. Next up is Rad. What do you think of the impact of SNK so far?
As I've said before, other fighting game developers are knocking down the door to ensure that they can use SNK's IP for whatever their heart desires. You want to put a character in a fighting game, you can do that. But SNK's aesthetic is second to none. Throughout this podcast, I've been listening to the arranged soundtracks of several SNK games, and they are striking up the goddamn band for some of these soundtracks. Like these are fighting game soundtrack classics. These are video game soundtrack classics. It's just everything about SNK just makes them their own unique identity. You know you're going to play a game with great music, colorful standout characters, and gameplay you can't really get from any other fighting game developer. They are not necessarily in a league of their own, but they're in a world unto themselves. And that's what I enjoy about SNK.
Burn, what about you? What do you think of SNK's impact so far on gaming and their aesthetics and everything?
In general, like their aesthetics are always clean. Their pixel art has always been amazing. I love it so much. So many details. I was always amazed by the pixel art, the designs of everything that they do. Uh, because it's so they are so unique and yet so different at the same time, because you can see the kind of design and sprite work for games like Windjammers, Metal Slug, King of Fighters, and all three of them have different designs. And even yet, you can see them and be like, yes, this is SNK, this is SNK, this is SNK. Like, it's amazing what they have done with that. And also, just as I said at the beginning, with how consistent they have been releasing new games and new games and new games and new games, like maybe not all of them will be winners, but just the fact that so much just like continuing on and on and on and on, it's like you gotta admire the grind at that point, to be honest. And I mean, they have iconic characters. If not, what other reason will be for characters like Terry to appear in fucking Smash Brothers? Like, how many other franchises or games aside from Nintendo and some additional ones that have been actually on Nintendo consoles can actually say we have a flag character as a collaboration with Super Smash Brothers and two flag characters with Street Fighter? Not many games can say that. So their legacy is there definitely. They have built that honestly, and sadly, well, things have happened. But it's just that I don't know. It's just many things that they have done in general, terms of gameplay, terms of design, terms of just like franchises, IPs, all of that. It's I don't know. There's so much to them to admire, honestly.
Andre, it is your turn. What do you think of SNK's impact and legacy and their aesthetics and what they bring to the table for 2D fighting games?
Oh, that is a great question. So I'm gonna be extremely honest with you. SNK is I feel like they're extremely important to like SNK is probably very important to the fighting game genre. Like it's up there with, like Street Fighter 2 and the first Virtua Fighter for a lot of reasons because honestly I think without like SNK we wouldn't get stuff like Guilty Gear and a lot of other like anime, 2D anime fighters. It's all the way from like really fun and innovative gameplay to probably some of the coolest fighting game character designs like ever. Like SNK never disappointed. So like their art direction, like all the old, like all the old 2D KOFs look amazing still to this day, and it got better and better. And I would say like KOF 13 is like the pinnacle of it. I'm really huge on 14 and 15's visuals. They're kind of got some things to work out, but I would say Samship does look really good because it's more like water painted colors. But I'd say though by like City of the Wolves, that's when they sort of finally got a handle of like the 3D graphics, and that game does look freaking great. So yeah, but in terms of like just impact, like SNK, like I said, they've changed a lot from the fighting game culture a lot, and for great reason, And also the soundtracks, Chef's Kiss. Yeah, that's all I really gotta say on that.
Okay, so I guess we can wrap this podcast up. Um, this was talking about SNK's legacy to fighting games and all that good stuff, and I think we had a great discussion tonight. So we're gonna head out to outros. Andre, where can we find you on social media, buddy?
You can find me Andre B. Venom on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm also on YouTube. I've been like streaming twice a week, so I stream on like Wednesdays and Fridays. I'm sort of trying to stream like 8 times a month. Well, because like like there's like 4 weeks in a month, and so it's like twice a week. So yeah, but that's really about it. I want to get a little more consistent in streaming, and also playing more multiplayer games this year. And yeah, that's really about it, honestly.
All right, I'll go next. You can find me on Blue Sky at rentoperative.bsky.social. You can find me on not TikTok because CCP is gonna take that down. So there's that. No fucking clips from TikTok. So just follow me
It's
on.
probably is down already.
Yeah. Looking at the time, it is probably gonna be just dead soon. So, just follow my Instagram. Renegade Operative, YouTube, Renegade Operative. I'm not a hard person to find. I recently uploaded a video talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 because I was very fascinated in talking about the console itself and the opportunities that will knock once they talk more about it in February. So I can't wait for that. So I'm going to be uploading this podcast to Infinite Ammo, of course. And for future fighting game stuff, I saw a suggestion that's kind of sticking, which is the bad side of fighting games with terrible fighting game movies and terrible games in general. So we might be talking about that next episode.
Oh no.
Kasuge episode is what they call it. So if you want to hear us just rip into everything, look forward to that with the next Buster Wolf. Rad, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me exclusively on Blue Sky at radrad.bsky.social. You can find my YouTube channel, Radrad's Rad Games, where I have started the Chun Legacy, where I am going through various video games that the first woman of fighting games has appeared in, and my recent one is not a fighting game, so check out that at my YouTube channel, Radrad's Rad Games.
Kaneki, where can we find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky, X, and YouTube under the same name, Google Order, and I'm about to continue playing probably more Dynasty Warriors Origin after this podcast is over.
Burn, where can we find you on social media?
With the same name here, Burn Aeon. You can find me like that on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, all of the places. And I have one last message before stream all of the films and shows of David Lynch on his honor. Fly high, man.
Oh yeah, rest in peace, David Lynch, the man who inspired a lot of Silent Hill. So that really hit home to me when that happened this weekend. So R.I.P.
And Zelda Link's Awakening. Fun fact.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. Now that you mentioned it to me, holy fuck. But we're signing out again. There's gonna be more fighting game stuff in the future. I just want Evo to get here, so it's a lot of stuff to talk about. But yeah, bad fighting game media episode, or maybe one about Killer Instinct, will possibly happen sooner or later. So look forward to that. This is the Buster Wolf podcast signing off. You guys take care of yourselves, and later. Also enjoy Mai, because she's gonna be out after this is over.
And thank you all with love.
See you later.
See
Yep.
y'all later.
Neat boy.